All right. I'm like so glad BLiveTV.TV worked, because when I was setting this up earlier, it was like total like malfunction. The world was melting down. So I was trying to see if there's other options. So we're live. What's up, everybody? I have an amazing guest with me today. I don't know if you guys have ever heard the Alicia Keys song, "This Girl Is on Fire." She's right over there, and she's on fire. Samantha Riley is hanging out with me today. And guys, this is in our continuing series of trying to offer you way more value in how you can command your brand. Samantha Riley is an expert in marketing and working with coaches and different types of business owners. And she's going to talk about call to actions today. But before we jump into that, Samantha, just tell people a little bit more about what you do.
Yeah. Firstly, thanks for having me here. I am so excited. I do get very excitable. So we're in the right place. So I work with thought leaders and coaches and consultants, and I help them to position themselves as the expert. I help them to build their profile, and I help them to get more exposure. So obviously with Command Your Brand, you understand that exposure is a great way to do that, a great way to position yourself, great way to build your profile. It also, if you don't get it right, it can be a big waste of everyone's time. So, that's what we're talking about today, right? Making sure that we use the exposure to get the best value that we can for building our profile and ultimately bringing leads into our business so we can make money.
Absolutely. Boom. So I'm so excited about talking about calls to action today, because I think that's the biggest thing is, like, it's great to go on a podcast. It's great to do interviews. And, we all love being philanthropists, but that's not what we're in business to do. Like, we're in business to get something out of these interviews. So I guess I want to find out, where's the best place to start when we're considering call to action? Like where should we be starting?
Yeah. So this might sound a little strange. We've got to start right at the very, very, very end. What is your product? What is it that you're trying to sell? Who's it for? And how does it help them? Because we need to have real clarity on that, because everything in your business, you should be what I call reverse engineering. We know exactly what it is at the end, and we're working backwards, because we need to, it's like Hansel and Gretel. The old story of Hansel and Gretel where they're putting the breadcrumbs to lead to the house. We're going to leave out the part of the witch. We don't need that part of the story.
They outsmarted her, but anyway.
Yeah, that's right. But it's about leading people to the gingerbread house, right? So we need to know what's the product. That's at the end, because then from there we're going to go right back to the beginning and knowing who we're helping and how we're helping them. That's how we're going to create our lead magnet, which is our free offer, whatever that free offer is, to have people reach out and exchange their email address or to come into our database for whatever we've got of value that they want.
And is there certain types of lead magnets that you've seen work better? Because I know, at least for what I've done in terms of guesting, I do great with checklists, but I don't know, is there a preference in what we're looking at in lead magnets?
I personally don't think so. And I think every person is different. So even, 10 coaches that are all kind of doing the same thing, people are attracted to you for different reasons. So they're going to be attracted to different things. Checklists people love because it's something that they can action straight away. So we really want them to get that, like a sugar hit. Get do an action and get a quick win.
Yeah, like a quick win.
Yeah. So you're right. Checklists are great. Webinars are great.
Is there anything that you've seen as maybe the worst thing to give away? That it's just kind of something we should not even consider?
Oh my goodness. Put me on the spot there. I've got it. Sign up to my free newsletter.
There's no value in that.
I don't know about you. I'm just looking. Actually, I'm not even going to share the number on my inbox right now, but it's over 10,000. It's horrific. Right. This is a part of my life that I do not have in control. I'm not about to sign up for someone's free newsletter to make that number even higher. I don't want to see that number go up. I don't want to be sitting there reading a newsletter that may or may not give me the information that I'm looking for. So that to me is completely not valuable. Strategy sessions can be hit and miss. That's why you really need to know your audience. It can be highly valuable. It also can be the opposite if people think they're about to be sold into something. So with a strategy session, you've got to be very careful the way that that's positioned.
Cool. So I think I kind of took you a little bit off track here, but this is like all awesome information because I feel like I want to break down each section of what we're talking about here. So you talked about having that opt-in, like having it be kind of the little trail that leads to the gingerbread house. Like, what else do we need to know besides that opt-in? Excuse me.
So most people have got different products, and each different product is for a different audience. It's for a different, a lot of people call it avatar, could be ideal client, whatever it is. All of those different products have a different demographic that it's going to. So each of those segments or verticals, whatever it is that you want to call it, need a different lead magnet. And most of my products actually have multiple lead magnets for each product. So that's why you need to be really, really clear with who it is that you're selling to. So for example, I have a product called Six Figure Game Plan, which is for coaches who are not making $10,000 a month. So they really want to build their business to a regular and reliable six figures. Offering them a lead magnet on how to delegate and build your team to 10 tomorrow is not the right lead magnet for that person. But a lead magnet that offers them 5 quick ways to get 3 to 5 clients this week, that's highly valuable to them. So really have to know who it is that you're speaking to and create the lead magnet for them. And the extra little piece there is not just creating a lead magnet with information, but something that's valuable to that person. I interviewed you the other day. You offered a lead magnet that was highly valuable. It was a checklist talking about being featured in the media because I interviewed you on how to be featured on more podcasts. The people that came, we knew that that's what they were after, and you gave them exactly what it was that they were looking for. That's a valuable lead magnet. If you had talked about being featured on podcasts and offered a lead magnet on how to keep your pig healthy, a bit of a mismatch in the message there, right? Why are pigs at the top of my mind then?
I'll tell you what though, because in that way I have tried a different couple lead magnets. Like one being I got an echo all of a sudden. That just went away. One being I was giving away a book on ebook on how to make a podcast, and it was like a big thing. It was like 100 pages, and in terms of like what it did versus the checklist, like the results of the checklist were like 10 times better. Because my thought process on this, and check me if I'm wrong, is I feel like it really helps if you're giving something away that ties into your message in a way that they can apply what you just learned. Absolutely. And I'm really glad that you brought that point up, because a lot of people, especially when they're starting out, have this intention of, I need to give a lot of information so that people know how valuable I am. So they give away these ebooks, which are hundreds of pages long. Oh, this is so valuable. But people don't have time to sit down and read them. So what will actually happen is the opposite. No one will read it. No one will open it. No one will action anything. Where if we download a checklist that we can action straight away, or a worksheet that only takes half an hour to fill out, maximum an hour, that's okay. We can put that time aside to be able to do that. So value is not quantity. Value is how much will someone implement that, because that's what we want to do. We're in the job of transforming. We're not in the job of necessarily telling people. We're not here to tell people how good we are. So let me ask you then, Samantha, like based on that, because I think a lot of people struggle with, and I know I struggled with this early on, was figuring out like what I'm going to give away. Like I think sometimes we're like, we really struggle with figuring out what is that thing that I can give away that's valuable, but it's also not like giving away the store at the same time. Do you have some sort of a process that like might be good for us to look at? Yeah, and I know this because I've been there, which is, right? It's not a fun club to be in. Why not? It's like, well, you first off, you're like, what is it that I want to give away? And you gosh, I've been so guilty of this, just whipping something together that really is crap, right? It's just, if my intention isn't giving value, then it's not going to be valuable, right? So this is where you need to be really clear about who your ideal client is, and think of one person.
and think about that one person and picture that one person and imagine yourself standing in front of them saying, if I could solve one problem for you right now, what would it be? And imagine they're answering you. And then just answer that problem. So it sounds so easy, right?
But yeah, it does.
It can be, you know, a bit of a tricky to get into that. But once you really understand who that ideal client is, it does get very easy. And brain's gone somewhere else. I'll get back to whatever.
Well, let me ask you that too, because this is actually something I struggled with early on too, and maybe you have a better solution. Like I think a stopping point people can be like, all right, cool. I figured out where I want to take them. I figured out what I want to give them.
Yes.
Like, how do I make what I want to give them? Like if you have any strategies of like maybe like outsourcing, like getting people to create that for us, or maybe some tips on how we can create it.
Yeah, sure. So there's lots of different pieces to this. So the first piece is the information. What is it that we're actually putting on this checklist or whatever it is that we're giving away? And again, it's that breadcrumb thing. So the quickest way to think about it is, if this is the problem of that ideal client, what's the 5 steps that they can take? What's the first step they can take? The second step, the third step, the fourth step, the fifth step. And then that's the easiest way to create a checklist. What's the first 5 things they need to do? And then I definitely outsource all of my graphics. I have used Fiverr in the past. I have used Upwork in the past. Now I have my own dedicated team because they know what my brand looks like. But don't let that hold you up. You know, there's even free tools like Canva.com, which is brilliant. And it's got templates that you can just drag and drop your information in. Don't get held up with that idea of perfect. Like, getting it done is way better. Love Canva.
I got caught up in that a lot early on. So I do appreciate you saying that, because I feel like it's a huge stopping point. It doesn't have to be, because it's stupid, honestly.
Yeah. But here's the thing. We hold ourselves back thinking it needs to be perfect. But what is perfect? There is no such thing as perfect, right? That's actually another word for procrastination. So if we get it out there as fast as possible, like I'm talking today, create a lead magnet in the morning, have it out by this afternoon, you'll get your feedback straight away. If you put it out there and people go, wow, this is great, and you look in your CRM and you see that people are downloading it, great. Sorry, I can hear myself twice.
No, I can, and then it like disappears. It's very interesting. Like I could before, and now I can't now. So I guess it's kind of weird. But so let me ask you then.
Okay.
So once we have this really cool opt-in, like what else do we need to know from there? Like what else, as you know, somebody being interviewed, do we need to know?
Okay, so yeah, that's the foundations, I guess. From being interviewed, it's about making sure either you reach out to the right people who you know that have that audience of people that you're trying to reach, or if people reach out to you because they want you on your show, then asking what is their audience, what is it that their audience wants the most, and then making sure that everything leads to giving value to that audience, but in coming through that to lead them to your lead magnet, your call to action, into coming into your tribe, whatever that is.
So I'm going to ask you to shift your viewpoint a little bit here and put your host hat on, because I know you host an awesome podcast as well. So from your viewpoint, when you're hosting a show, you know, when should I like really think about like when I'm going to put this out there? Because I think some people like aren't always sure. They're like, you know, when should this call to action be? And sometimes they'll like put it in the wrong point in the interview, or their mind will always be on it. So like, as I'm somebody being interviewed and you're a host, what should I be thinking about in terms of my call to action?
As a host, the call to action always comes at the end. Because we, as a guest or as a host, we're trying to draw out the stories to give value to our audience. So people won't take your call to action if they don't know, like, and trust you. So the idea of the show or the interview is for us to decide as listeners or, you know, as viewers, do we like this person? Do we resonate with them? Do we know, like, and trust them? Do we love their stories? Do we like what they're about? Then we'll choose to either, you know, opt in, or I'll never, like, that was cool, but I don't really need to stay in contact with that person.
Right.
So always at the end.
Very cool. And just another thing from your host hat standpoint, like, you don't have to name any names here, but have you had any epic fails of people that you've interviewed of them putting out their lead magnet or their call to action?
We actually had a chat about this the other day in private, didn't we?
I actually don't remember which part of that you're referring to, so I'm just going to let you go for it.
Okay, so it's normally for people that have got the intention purely on themselves, not with the intention of providing value to their audience. So it's people that are coming on a show to get their book out into the world. And every 2 seconds they're going, oh, yeah, that's in my book. Oh, yeah, in my book. Oh, yeah, you can read about that in my book. I talked about that in my book. And you're just like, oh, my God, okay, we get it. You've got a book.
I hate that. I really hate that.
Why do I need to read your book? It's like you're boring me. And also people that are purely on your show to get more leads, because that intention's on themselves. I find they don't generally give the value. The people that come on the show purely to give value to the audience, they're the amazing interviews where, because they're an open book and they want to just provide value and entertainment, the places that we can go and the stories that I can draw out of them are gold. And, they're interesting and they're entertaining and they're the kind of things that people will listen all the way to the end of the interview because they want to hear the gold.
Well, and the crazy thing about that, too, is I feel like because they show up so abundant like that, those are the ones that actually get the leads and stuff they're looking for, which is really cool.
Yeah, interesting, right?
It is. Samantha, I guess before I let you, tell me where we can find you, and also a really cool thing you have for our audience as well. Is there anything else that we need to know when we're considering call to actions?
I think that, there is one other thing, and you've just touched on it very lightly there. It's to start to think about the stories that will connect to your audience. So start to think about little stories that connect in a way that might not seem really obvious, but are helping, drop those breadcrumbs along the way. So what's something that's happened to you that the audience will connect with? Because then that's when people go, oh, I really like this person. I really, relate to that story. And that will lead them to that opt-in. So it's not just about creating a lead magnet to get a lead. It's, what are all the little things that need to happen along the way? So be very clear about your end result. Start to draw out your stories. The first person that I worked with actually got me to write out little Post-it notes. And I used to have them down the side of my laptop, when I was just getting started, that had little, just little dot points that would remind me of stories that related to certain, points that we were talking about, so that I always made sure.
Such a simple but such a great idea I never thought of. That's awesome.
Well, yeah, because you hear when someone's doing a book tour, all of their interviews and all their different shows are the same, right? Happens quite a lot. So it's like, how can we make it so that people follow the whole journey and hear lots of stories, and so that they start turning into raving fans? How many stories do we have, and how much can we change that up? And whilst you might think that's got nothing to do with the lead magnet, it actually has everything to do with the people deciding to join your tribe.
Wow. And I got to tell you, Samantha, this is why you're an incredible expert, because I bring you on to talk about call to action and you drop one little thing in there that I've never heard before. Just Post-it notes on the side of your screen. That is amazing, because it takes your attention off trying to remember all that stuff. So
Absolutely.
You can be present in the interview.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, Samantha, I really appreciate you being here today. For, all the people in the group that are hanging out with us, I know you have something cool for them to go check out. So tell us about it.
Yeah. So because I want you to get really clear on, what is your product? How are you going to monetize that this year to grow your business? What are the lead magnets? How are you going to monetize your exposure through podcasts and media? I've put a planner together. It'll only take you about 30 minutes to fill out, but it'll help you to plan out your year and be very clear about where you're heading. So you just go to samanthariley.com.au/plan and you can get that planner. And I've had some great feedback with people already that have got all sorts of things happening in their world just from downloading that in the last few days.
Very cool. And that's going to be actually linked up below this, so you don't even have to remember all that. You can just click the link and you can just go get it. So awesome. Well, Samantha, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. You even got me with something I learned today, so this is just freaking great.
Awesome.
I really appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Jeremy. I've had such a blast.
All right, thanks for hanging out with us.
Thanks, guys.